Imagine a world where everyone is perfect. A world where everyone laughs, smiles, is amazingly pretty, extremely athletic, and everyone has a 4.0 GPA in school. There are many qualities which separate each individual from one another, and this is what makes us unique. A recent controversial topic which has caught the interest of society is human cloning. DNA is what makes us different from one another. Take for this class. We have different racial backgrounds, facial features, thought patterns, and get to the last one. Human cloning has been acknowledged controversy in today's society because of its supposed way to improve life. Cloning is unmoral, unethical by many people's standards, and should be illegal. Three arguments that I'm going to be presenting today to you for the reason that cloning should be illegal is that, for one, it reduces genetic variability and takes away from the uniqueness of society. Two, it costs way too much and can be used on other things and contribute to the society. And three, technological advantages could be dangerous depending on how far we take these measures. DNA is inherited from our mother and father, and is what makes us different from one another. Many people who argue for cloning emphasize that the children of the reproductive cloning copies cloning are not going to be copies of their parents, but rather clones. According to Weeks in 2000, the different environmental factors of nurture and mean, children will not be emotionally or mentally identical to the people who clone them. Furthermore, the gap of ages between twins will be large enough to where it will not be a data comparison. My second argument is that it will cost way too much. And it'll take away from Social Security, Medicare, defense, education, and environmental issues that we could possibly spend other money on. According to a British journalist, Kirby, in 2001, it would cost $50,000 to clone a human being at first. I don't know about you, but you could probably use that government can use that maybe for community colleges paying for our tuitions, especially in this time of an economic crisis. The Legislative Analysis Office article, The Ban on Human Cloning, says that Proposition 71 of the last election authorized the sale of over $3 billion to state bonds over a multi-year period to fund stem cell research facilities, and related activities. In studies, only 2 to 3% of cloning has been a success up to now. The government will have to spend a lot of money on the cloning projects, and I don't think it should be necessary. My third argument is that it's going to take, that the technological advantages are going to be way dangerous down the road from starting or legalizing human cloning. Ian, we met a professor and head of the Department of Gene and Expression Development at the Rosalind Institute in Scotland, conducted a famous DNA replication experiment with a sheep named Dolly. According to Blacklisted News in 2007, it took WeMet 277 attempts to create Dolly. If we let them take 277 attempts to create one sheep, how do you think they're going to do that with a human being? It's going to only benefit the high class because of the cost reasons. And it'll eventually die out most of the population, creating a less diverse and less unique society. Most people with mental illnesses, genetic flaws, people that aren't perfect to our standards are going to be taken and end up dying out over the course of time because of human cloning. There are many qualities that separate an individual from one another. Oops. In conclusion, I've discussed both sides of the argument of human cloning and discussed why I think it's illegal. It'll take the uniqueness away from society, it costs too much, and technological dangers far more than we can comprehend. So next time you think about the human cloning and why it should be illegal or asked about it, I hope you'll remember my points and say it's illegal. Thank you.
Annie, what did you think?
I thought that the main points were good. I like the points about how much money it would cost and how much it could benefit us by our college. I also thought the attempts, how many attempts to create in one person would take in the Dottie situation. And then your voice was good. You looked at your notes too much, and you could have looked at those a little bit more. There's a little oops in there, but overall, I think you did a great job, and you seem confident.
All right. I thought all the structural stuff was pretty solid. You did a good job in the introduction, kind of identifying what your position was, what the structure was that you were going to follow, and internally you did a good job signposting those things as you went from point to point. I think a couple of those points needed a little bit more development. Your first point, for instance, the one piece of evidence that you cited actually sounded like it was going the opposite direction of the conclusion that you're advancing, so that was confusing. On second point, when you're talking about cost issues, there's some information about stem cell research, and so it sounds like you're getting a couple of things mixed up with each other, the stem cell research issues and the cloning issues. And there is a relationship, but they are not the same thing. On your first point, by the way, you did cite somebody, but you don't tell us who Weeks is. Later on, you were citing journalists and the researcher Wilmot. You mentioned him in particular, and I thought that was okay. On the third point, when you're making the argument about, actually, I guess it is the third point, when you were talking about how certain genetic things would disappear, I'm not exactly sure why that was problematic. What's the risk of diversity if we lose insanity that's inherited? Why is that a problem? It's not clear to me what your rationale on that particular point was. On the delivery issues, I think that you speak pretty clearly and effectively. Your eye contact, I thought it was good. You did have the notes there, but you didn't seem overly dependent on them. You were pacing a lot, though, especially at the beginning, and when you watch it back, you're going to see that you're doing a little bit more pacing. It's only about 5 minutes, so it's a little bit underdeveloped. At the end, it sounds like you're really making an argument, to convince us that it's illegal, when instead your argument is that it deserves to be illegal, that there are reasons why we want to continue to prohibit it. And so I just think your language on that end point needed to be a little bit more consistent with the facts that you presented. All right, thank you.